Onward, Christian soldiers, marching as to war, with the cross of Jesus going on before. I'm not being funny here, guys and gals. It's just that when you look at all this stuff, don't you think that there's just so much hypocrisy to it all? You know, this song, Onward Christian Soldiers, was written about 1826, from what I can remember, and I'm quite sure it wasn't written, you know, about going to shed blood. But when we look at all of the blood that has been shed in the name of Jesus, well, in view of the fact, what I really struggle with, that why people can't see it, because if you are Christian, the last thing you're ever gonna do is kill another person, is go to war. The last two commandments Jesus left everybody with: love God with all of your heart, and the second commandment is almost the same. That's what it says, something like that, almost the same: love thy neighbour as you love thyself. So where's killing in the name of Jesus come into what he stands for? And why does humanity actually stand for killing in the name of Jesus? So all I can say, people, all I'm doing is, when I look at this, I just think that the whole Christian thing is an inversion. It's all inverted. And when you see leaders telling you about, you know, in God we believe or trust, and, you know, all in the name of God and Jesus and faith and belief, well, that's what they are representing. Because what they're asking you to do is go and kill. And true to form, America, if people were invading America and American forces went and attacked them, great, no problem with that. They've got to do what they've got to do. But America, they go to other people's countries and they take the war to other people's countries, and they're always killing other nations outside of America, aren't they? In the name of God, in the name of Jesus. And then they get all these silly billy recruits to go and kill in the name of Jesus. Excuse me, did you read the Bible? Did you read what Jesus said? Did you read what the commandments are in the Old Testament? Thou shalt not kill. Even though God was completely hypocritical himself, and he slayed all the Jews when they weren't doing what he wanted them to do. You know, killing them right, left and centre. And so, you know, the Old Testament, of course, it's full of hypocrisy, hate, and, you know, all the rest of the satanic devilish shit. But the New Testament is supposed to supersede that, and it's kind of like, yeah, the father was a bit harsh, and he's probably schizophrenic as well. So here's the son, and I'm saying, well, turn the other cheek and love thy neighbour. And he actually says, love thine enemy. Love thy enemy. Don't be attacking or fighting the enemy. Pray for them. That's what Jesus is said to have said in the good book. And so when I look at so-called Christians, and the reason why, one of the reasons why, you know, I've got to be a bit of a bee in my bonnet, because in recent times, people, I've met a lot of them. In close confinement, I met a lot of these heinous people who have found the lie, they've found Jesus. And yet, if somebody owed $5, then they'd be looking for them to stab them. I'm not going to that. That's another story. I'll go into that on another time. There's another book that's going to be written about that. So don't be commenting here, because they won't get through. Because the energy needs to be pure from that. When I want that energy on the site, I invite it. But All of the so-called Christians that I've ever met in my life, well, I can just see through and through the hypocrites. I'm like, well, have you ever stolen? Have you ever lied? Have you ever borne false witness? Have you ever committed adultery? Have you ever coveted your neighbour's ox? You know, you can go, have you ever, 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 have you ever? And basically what it is, are you human? Yes, you're human. Well, don't get talking about being a Christian then. Because Christ was, or reputedly is, the Son of God, or God. We could never be like him. And so why don't people just go, I endeavour to be the best possible version of a human being I can. Albeit we're very flawed, and most of us are very, very stupid, and we can't even rationalise the simplest of things from the Bible. And if somebody, some leader says to you, we need to go and kill those over there, come on all you Christians, you know, we believe in God, we're a God-fearing nation, in God we trust, this whole country, this whole nation was built on God and Jesus and love and all those fine things, so come on, let's go kill those motherfuckers. And you all like, yeah, me, I'll go and kill, as long as you say that it's in the name of Jesus. Did you say it in the name of Jesus? Yes, of course it is. And so you see what the leaders are doing. You know, as long as they drop Jesus into it, they'll get you doing anything. And people, where's the rational thinking? Where's the, you know, levelling things up? Hang on, I've read the Bible. It says in there, you know, love thy neighbour, love thy enemy, turn the cheek, and, you know, don't be slaying people, don't be doing all this nasty stuff. I'm a Christian. I want to live by Christian values. Am I going to go and kill? If I go and kill, in the name of who? In the name of Jesus. He tells us not to kill. You see, look, if you're trying to rationalise it, this is the thing, you cannot rationalise it. There is no rationalising do not kill. There is no rationalising love thy neighbour. There is no rationalising love thy enemy. Because if you say, well, he meant love thy enemy unless they owe you money, or unless they try to invade on your borders, or unless they don't buy your wares, we want to sell them all these wares and they're not wanting to buy them, so we'll go and kick their asses and then we'll force them into buying them. And that's the whole relationship with China from the very beginning with the Opium Wars, by the way, if you didn't know that. Britain and America bombing, you know, China. Was it America? Well, it's just America. I think that was America. America again. Bombing China into submission. So they bought the opium. Oh my God. And so when we look at the world and we see, you know, people like the Pope, and they're like this, and you know, people that go on the chest, and then look, if any of these people kill or contravene any of the commandments, then I think it would be very reasonable for them to just wear that, wouldn't it? Because that's effectively what they're representing. And if they're representing blood and gory and death and pain and suffering, then they may as well wear the cross like that. I'd be happy if they wore the crucifix like this with Jesus hanging on it on their chest. I'd be happy with that, because then they would be honest. Because they'll be saying, ha ha ha, death to Christianity, death to Christians, death to Jesus, Jesus rots in hell, all this sort of stuff. Look, I'm not against Christians. I'm not against Christianity. I'm against hypocrisy. And I've seen too much of it. I can't stand it. It makes me sick to my stomach. And what makes me even more sick is the fool, when they will say that they are Christians and they don't even question all the things that they're doing in contravention to their so-called Christianity. How many of us really could be Christians? Because if we're going to uphold what Jesus wanted, and apparently you can look on the internet and you could see 50 of Jesus' commandments, you can see 38 of Jesus' commandments, you can see there was like 9 of Jesus' commandments, because like he created his own, but he created 6 new ones, which wasn't in the Old Testament commandments, and he left out 5 of the Old Testament commandments, and then the last 2 commandments was love God with all your heart. It's kind of like when he's on his deathbed, oh God, I'm just so tired, I'm so tired. But look, for goodness sake, people, all I'm saying is love God and love one another, for fuck's sake. And then he expired. And so, if you can't love one another, if we can't love one another, we can't be Christian. It's as simple as that. I don't ever profess to be Christian, because there's no way on earth I could ever love the fools out there. They do so many hideous things. There's so many things that are contrary to being a Christian, to being a decent, upstanding human being. I can't stand the vast majority of them. I can't stand what the human being stands for, to be fair. There's only a very small percentage of human beings which are quality, upstanding, intelligent, do the right thing sort of human beings. The rest of them are just blind followers, and they will murder at the drop of a hat. As soon as someone puts them in a suit and pays them a few quid or dollars, then they go off and murder in the name of God, in the name of Jesus, without thinking about anything, because they can't think. They're the people I'm getting at, people. And so then when I have videos like this, and I get some Christians, and I'm like, oh, the gnashing of the teeth, all the judging, all the hate, and all that. Are you sure you're Christian? What I'm saying is, just have a look in your heart, have a look in here. See if you can find Christ in there. Have a look in here, rationalize it, reason with it, and what's the Awake and Brave doing? Yeah, he's trying to joust with us, he's trying to, you know, provoke us. He's saying that, you know, he doesn't have anything against Christ, and if you read his book, then he said Christ came to speak with him and showed him what unconditional love was, and then God spoke with him, and angels came to him, and all those sort of things. I don't have a problem with all that stuff. Whether, who knows what they are, the archetypes, the tulpas, the egregores, you know, I don't even know whether Jesus was a real man. I would think not, because I would think what actually happened was lots of human beings got together and thought, what's the best possible version of a human being? Not killing, not, you know, sleeping with his neighbour's ox. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of that going on, by the way, and goats and sheep, come on. Okay, so don't covert the ox, don't steal the ox or whatever, don't covert, don't lie, don't give false testimony, and all these things. It's happening all over the world, all the time, every single day. And I, in my travels, have never ever met a single Christian who I could say, yeah, that person upholds all of the commandments for what Jesus did. You know, in recent times, I've been having a relationship with chaplains, and I've been putting them to task, and I've been asking them this question, that question, and I've been wanting to see what is there. And, you know, 2 out of 3, I got the obnoxious attitude. I got almost a hate, and they could barely contain their hate for me because I was asking too many impertinent questions, which you're not allowed to ask Christians, are you? Because if you ask them, you know, impertinent questions, then all of a sudden Satan makes manifest. And you go, how does that work? You're not just Satan in the guise of a Christian. I think that's more befitting. And I told you in other videos how, you know, big friends with some people until you mention some things about Jesus probably wasn't really real, you know, he's just an idea, he's just a conglomerate of the best attributes of you say about my Jesus, and I'm like, fucking hell. Well, so this is what I want to do, this is what I like doing. I just want to see, so you can see yourselves. Because if your neck veins start to pulsate, and if you start to get angry and want to hate the Awake and Brave, then you're not a Christian, are you? You're a fucking Satanist, so why don't you just admit it? That's what I'm doing, people. Just fucking look at yourselves. And the thing is about these, you know, Satanists, as soon as you hold up a crucifix, or vampires. That's how they're supposed to be, isn't it? And so when I'm saying anything to Christians, when I'm, asking, I'm just asking, do you do this and do you do that? Because if you do, you're not what you say you are. Do you believe in this? Do you believe in that? Do you actually know what was written? Do you know what it means in these books, the Old and New Testament? Oh my God. But what happens is with the vast majority of so-called Christians, they read word for word without thinking, and the whole thing about the Bible, of course, is to have faith and believe and don't question, don't use your rational mind. And in my book I speak about this in pretty detailed analysis and how I applied myself to belief and myself to faith, and I'm looking for how this faith works, and I'm looking into the hearts of people, I'm looking into my own heart and my own mind and my own God consciousness. How does this faith thing work? And faith is for those, my conclusion, that don't know God. Everybody, all you Christians that you proclaim to have faith is because you don't have the real thing. You don't have God. You don't have the knowledge of God. You don't have the feeling of God. You don't have the Spirit of God. You've only got faith. And what is faith? Oh, I wish I could have God within me. I wish I could have a relationship with God and Jesus. But you don't. So therefore you have faith. And you see, I could never work this out, because I've always had the God of Spirit in me. The Spirit of God in me. And I'm talking to Christians, and what is it with this faith and belief? Oh, you need to have faith. Oh, we've got to have faith. Well, why do you need it? Why have we got to? I'm like, surely if God exists and he's a thing, then there must be a way of knowing him or it. I mean, I'm like, well, I'm not a Christian, but, I feel as if there's some spirit within me, and it's a good thing. And, I feel that it could be God, or it could be the Spirit of Jesus, or it could be, something which is benevolent and loving, because I feel that about the whole cosmos. I don't need to fantasize about having it, like having faith. That's for numbskulls, surely. You just know it, don't you? For God's sake. This is what makes me insane. Faith. Believe is kind of like, I don't know. You can believe that you can run, let's say, at a 10-minute mile. Everybody on the planet should be able to do that. And I'm like, everyone's believing, oh, I believe I could run a 10-minute mile. Well, why don't you just put it to fucking test? Why don't you try? Why don't you actually do it? And then you'll know. And then if you can run a 10-minute mile, you go, I can run a 10-minute mile. I don't need to have faith or belief in that. And the thing is about knowing God, when you look for him, it, in here and in here, then sooner or later it's going to manifest. Like it has with me. I've looked a long time, and some years ago it was manifesting, and it got stronger and stronger and stronger until in the end it's like, wow, it just explodes. And I'm looking around all these fools and I'm going, well, why do you need to believe and have faith? It just doesn't make sense to me. The only way it makes sense, people, is when you finally realise that that's the only thing they've got. Because they don't have the real thing. Why don't they have the real thing? Because they're just automaton. They're just robots. They're not spirited creatures. I've said this 1,000 times. Jesus said, let the dead bury the dead. Which means don't waste your time with them. Don't get throwing pearls to them. They're dead. They don't have the spirit. Let's go and talk with those who have spirit. Let's, give them the knowledge, because they can receive because they've got the spirit. And in my book I have an analogy which is like this. The vast majority of people are like light bulbs. They have the bulb, they have the glass, they have the filament inside. But what they don't have is the electricity. The electricity is spirit. Is God consciousness. How many people can we look around and we just can go, no. They don't have it. They don't have God consciousness. They don't have spirit. They don't have this wonderful thing that makes them a human being. They're not human beings. They're not Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens means wise man. They're not wise men. They're fools. And so therefore then there's just some sort of a pink ape, some sort of a primate. They're not human beings, people. And I've known this a long, long time, and I've discovered this when I started taking psilocybin semelancita, magic mushrooms, liberty caps, because I could intuit, I could feel, I could see all these husks, empty vessels. They weren't spirited people. The odd one, you can go, you feel it, yeah, you know, that one's a spirited one, that one's a spirited one. No, 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 they're all not. You've all seen them, you know what it's about. Okay, anyway, I think I've said it. Talk to you guys later.